new tonight, a Sixth Circuit judge has found Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg guilty of 2 misdemeanors: driving outside his lane, that's one of them, and then using a phone while driving, that's the second one. The third one, careless driving, was dropped as a part of a plea deal, though none would have made him legally responsible for Boever's death. In the end, Ravnsborg will pay a $500 fine for each count, as well as court costs. Ravnsborg's lawyer saying this was just an accident that happened to involve a high-profile figure. Austin Goss was in the courtroom today and has the story.
Judge John Brown said at the beginning of Thursday morning's proceedings that likely no one would leave the room happy with whatever punishment he decided on. Turns out that Judge John Brown was right, and now the family of Joe Boever is left to look ahead and hope for more during a civil trial.
As for Attorney General Ravnsborg, shame on you. Why couldn't you just do the right thing and plead guilty early on so we could move on? Why did you selfishly prolong this deepen our wounds? And why couldn't you show remorse for taking the life of a man? All this time you've been carrying on like nothing happened, saying you did nothing wrong.
The family of Joe Boever was less than pleased with the roughly $4,000 in fines Ravnsborg was called to pay. Efforts to make Ravnsborg pay for funeral expenses also were rejected by Judge Brown on account of the fact insurance covered them.
We had not even identified the body yet when the Attorney General was offering condolences to some unknown family, unknown to him, and the family, the wife and the mother and the siblings didn't even know that their son and husband and brother was dead.
Ravnsborg himself was not present Wednesday, prompting a call of cowardice from the family. But his attorney, Tim RENSCH, vehemently defended him, saying he didn't receive special treatment. RENSCH heavily criticized the way officials, specifically Governor Kristi Noem, who called for Ravnsborg to resign, handled the investigation.
If you were somebody who was a nobody, you'd get the bond schedule. Especially if there was a death involved, you'd call the police immediately. The police met with you. They looked at you face to face. They could smell you. They could listen to you. They could gauge your actions. And based upon all their training and experience, thought it was okay for you to leave. I think that if anybody else in society had been in this position, it wouldn't have blown up this way. You wouldn't have had all of this stuff released early the way that it should not be. When you release that stuff early, you attack the presumption of innocence.
State's Attorney Michael Moore said that the charges they got were the best possible, and he was satisfied with the outcome, saying Ravnsborg was cooperative.
The investigation was a lot more thorough than anybody else. You know, would law enforcement have gone to that extent if it was someone else? I would say no. Any other situation where this happened to anybody else, they wouldn't have been. If I was the prosecutor, I wouldn't have brought manslaughter charges with these facts.
Outside of an impending civil trial, it's not clear what comes next for Ravnsborg. He's remained largely out of the public eye and faces an uphill battle in his re-election efforts. That same lack of clarity will plague the Boever family, but for different reasons.
But nothing you do or say will change the fact that you killed my brother. You are a killer. This, Mr. Ravnsborg, is the results of your reckless actions.
Ravnsborg paid all of the legal fines and fees that were required of him by the state. Judge John Brown also tried to make it so that Ravnsborg would have to perform a Community Service Act every year for the next 5 years around the anniversary of Joe Boever's death. However, Ravnsborg's legal team is challenging the legality of that punishment, and that will eventually be decided in written briefs. In the Peer Newsroom, I'm Austin Goss.